Hello, everyone, and welcome to Naburva Talks. The topic that we are going to discuss today is entrepreneurship. So, for a business professional to join an established organization where everything is preset, you have standard processes, you have standard organizational structures, and everything is in order, that's one thing. But starting a business from scratch and building everything ground up, that's a whole different ballgame. So today we have with us Rahul Choudhary. Rahul is an entrepreneur. He's the co-founder and CEO of a company called Roasted Beanbox, and he's also a founder of Cara Orthopedic. Both companies are based in Montreal, and Rahul holds an MBA from HEC Montreal, and he also holds an engineering degree from the University of Sheffield, England. Rahul is a very experienced professional and has worked in different companies in different sectors in England, in Kenya, and in Canada. So welcome, Rahul.
Thank you for having me.
So Rahul, tell us a bit about these businesses that you established.
I'll start with Cara Orthopedic because it's currently inactive. So I launched Cara Orthopedic back in 2019 to supply orthopedic implants to surgeons and hospitals in Latin American countries. To gain traction, I was preparing for a big medical expo in the US in March 2020. Then the pandemic hit and the expo got cancelled. I couldn't travel to any of these countries as well. So this company, let's say, crashed before it could even take off and is currently on hold. My new company, Roasted Beanbox, quite successful so far. It was founded by my partner Catherine and I back in May 2020, and we officially launched to public in September last year. So Roasted Beanbox is an e-commerce specialty coffee company that offers personalized coffee subscription directly to consumers. We are the world's first data science-driven coffee company, and the result is our subscription customers only receive coffees after a few months that match their taste preferences. This is important because coffee preferences are subjective. We are also a very environmental friendly company, and that's partly because of our city-to-city operating model. So we only serve our customers in the city that we roast our coffee in, currently is Greater Montreal area, and we are looking to expand later this year to Toronto as well.
So Rahul, you had a very successful career trajectory in engineering and in project management before you started these businesses. So our audience will be curious to know what really prompted you to change lanes and start these ventures of your own.
Well, there are two aspects of it, of this entrepreneurship and why I started my venture. The first is I've always been a risk lover, so I've always preferred losing than to miss out on opportunities. That's why since school days I always took the lead in joining competitions in science projects, etc., and so on. The second aspect is I like building things from the ground up. Not only do you get to learn a lot, but also you start to see your creative side as well. So I saw these market opportunities before launching my companies, and I just went for it.
So I was wondering if you could share with us some of the challenges that you faced when you launched your own business.
Well, I've had quite a few challenges, honestly, but I'll try to mention the three biggest challenges. First is finding the right person to do the job and the person that you can trust, because there's so many elements of a business that you have to work on, and finding the right person to do the job is really crucial. But at the same time, you also don't want to supervise that person. So that's been really difficult. Second thing is resource allocation, both time and money. And they're both scarce. So way to allocate your money, let's say, for instance, in the marketing budget, in the operations, how much to get your inventory asset, etc., as well as time. How much time should you put in product development? How much time should you put in customer service? And so that's been difficult as well. And the another one which has been pretty challenging for me, especially because it's my first time working in a B2C environment, is finding the right media channel and the right message that would resonate with my target audience. And in order for us to find out, we had to try a few hypotheses and see which one actually works for our customers.
So There's a common perception about entrepreneurs that they have to be necessarily type A personalities. They have to have indefinite amount of energy. They have to work continuously throughout day and night. They have to have many sleepless nights. And they have to like put in any and all resources that they have into the business that they've started. So tell us if this perception is really true.
Well, you mentioned quite a few elements of the perception, and I would, you mentioned personality, you mentioned energy and time, you mentioned the sleep, you mentioned resources. I would say perception, just my view, is true, but in a good way. So let's talk about personality. Yeah, it does help to be an A personality type, but it's all about, for me, it's all about mental strength. It's the way you think, act, and feel. So you have to think big, you have to act brave and confident, and you have to feel good and positive. And if you do that, it'll take you through a lot of challenges as well. And it doesn't come naturally, honestly. It requires a lot of practice, patience, and constant reinforcement before it actually comes naturally to you. So no one is born with it. It's just constant practice. Talk about energy and time. I mean, even if you're an employee, you could be working a lot of hours for your employee. Especially in the recent news, we've seen companies in the US where employees are actually working countless hours. But let's look into this way. It's like you raising your kid versus working in kindergarten. So you put your time and energy in your project because this is your project. So any extra moment any effort you put in benefits directly to your company as well. And yes, I've had sleepless nights, of course, but part of them were because I was excited about something, and part of them because there was worry something went wrong or something was going to go wrong. Finally, you mentioned resources, of course, especially if you're bootstrapping. That's a lot of money, depending on what your project is. If it requires a lot of R&D, that's a lot of resources. You have to think before you leave your other option, whether it could be leaving a job or doing something else. So that's time, resources, and because you have to be resourceful. You have to put a lot of effort in different areas of a business, and you have to make sure that you could cope well. So yeah, I would say that's my perception.
So I myself deal with small businesses and startups, and this is often the case that many businesses start as a product of pure passion, which alone is not a guarantee for success. So, do you think that typically the element of strategy gets the due attention it deserves when an entrepreneur is starting a business?
Passion is important. It's definitely important to acquire new customers, to get investors, because it shows when you want to talk to your customers. It shows that passion shows when you want to pitch in front of investors. And honestly, I can't think of any of the startups who started because without passion. However, what's really important after passion is a good strategy, and what's really important after a good strategy is the perfect execution of that strategy. So before I came to Montreal, before I actually started my MBA, I had another business which failed badly, and one thing I didn't it was I was passionate, but then I didn't have a good strategy, and because I didn't have a good strategy, I couldn't execute that well. So sometimes passion can give you a product, but maybe there's no problem that product is solving. So you have to think about, is there a problem that you're solving? Is there a customer need for it? So think carefully before you actually eventually launch this venture, because it is a time consuming, and you don't want to be wasting your time.
So, what do you think are the typical errors that a new entrepreneur should avoid when they're like launching a new venture of their own?
So few errors, to avoid. First, I would just say don't assume you can do everything, even though you may be able to do everything, but it's just time consuming. Find the right person, or find the right, it could be contractors and employees, resources, etc. If you want to do everything by yourself, then put resources in terms of time and money into that into those elements. Second thing is validate your business model and product or service. Do customer service, speak to your potential customers if they would if they would be into it as well. Read market reports, etc. So these, and finally, be prepared to pivot or even kill your project, because the worst thing is, you don't want to be wasting your time in dragging a project which you foresee no growth. So think about the opportunity cost instead.
So here's the thing. Unlike you, not every entrepreneur has a world-class MBA from a top business school, right? So what would you advise a typical entrepreneur regarding like effective business planning and formulation of an effective business strategy?
Well, a good or top MBA really teaches you, for me, what it taught me, and I could actually summarize that into three things. First, it made me into a generalist, resourceful, as well as confident. Generalist because you learn about during your entire MBA, you learn about um, different business functions, different scenarios, and so and this is important because as an entrepreneur, you wear different hats at different times. Accounting, finance, operations, development, business, and so on. And then on the confidence side, I talk about uh, this being mentally strong. How you think, act, and feel. I think MBA does it well because the way we say you learn from your mistakes. In MBA, we learn from case studies. We learn from others' mistakes and successes. We did hundreds of case studies and saw different situation where things went wrong. Things, okay, you could have done that, or things went right. Okay, this is what we did, and I can totally relate every single time in my business. Every now and then I get into a situation where it's typical of what I had studied in one of the case studies. So just because something has worked over there, it gives you a bit of confidence, and also just a boost that I did an MBA. I think I know. Um, I know how to tackle the situation. It's psychological, but it really helps. The last I said resourceful because again, MBA, you get into different elements of a business, so if you want some information, where to look at, whether it's people, whether it's networks, whether it's any resources in the library, etc. So these three things, I would just say, if you don't have time to do actually MBA, you can just read about different companies. Just read books, biographies about founders, etc. It really helps.
All right, Rahul, thank you so very much for taking time to speak with us today about the idea of entrepreneurship and sharing your experiences and wisdom with us and with our viewers. And I'm sure that all of the new entrepreneurs who are looking forward to starting a new business, they will find this discussion really helpful, and they will benefit from your experience and your advice, and they will like this will turn out to be really invaluable for their new venture.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Our next discussion will be on the idea of innovation and its relevance for small businesses, and you will be able to watch that new discussion in a matter of few days. And yeah, till then, take care.